All right, we are live. Love it when technology works. So, welcome everyone in the Structured Freedom for Impact Driven Coaches community. My name is Megan Huber, and this is our weekly Facebook Live show. I thought I would do something a little different this week and bring some of my amazing, incredible, just super fantastic people who I love. All three of the women here are in our flagship program, Momentum. And I was just telling them, I was like, you guys are kind of going to be the guinea pigs because this is the first time we've done something like this. And I was sharing with them, we always see coaches interviewing like a client one-on-one, and it's kind of like this formal, like, they have like their questions about their program and the experience in the program. I was like, you know what? I think people really want to hear something from like a fresh, different, new perspective. And I thought, how cool would it be to bring, a certain number of clients together and have them all kind of play off of each other and in a way sort of like peel back the curtain on what it might sound like or look like behind closed doors when we're having conversations. So we're going to dive in. You're going to get to meet each one of the ladies here. I'm going to have them introduce themselves. We're going to talk a little bit about story. We're going to talk about relationship. We're going to talk about purpose. We're going to talk about vision. We're going to talk a little bit about business. So sit back, enjoy. I find stories to be incredibly inspiring. And I am someone, I don't know if you guys do this, so let me know in the chat if you do, but I very intentionally seek out learning about other people's stories who I see as successful in whatever area of life I think they are successful in. That might be from documentaries to reading biographies to listening to people's podcasts to reading something. But it's always so inspiring for me to hear someone's come up story, like where they actually started from. And I think that it's so easy for all of us to assume that somebody had like this, fantastical skill or gift that they just had so supernaturally. And as soon as they decided to start a business or change their life, it just all happened in a blink of an eye overnight. And when you really dive into people's stories, you find out that a lot of people started literally from the bottom. Like the number of stories I've read, not that anybody here has experienced this, but the number of stories I've read about people who started out homeless in a car and now they have like a $2 billion company. I just, when you hear stories like that, you see parts of yourself and other people, and you have this belief. It's like, oh my gosh, if she could do it, if he could do it, I can do it too. So I think you're going to leave today being super inspired. I know that you're going to see parts of yourself and all of the women here. So let's go ahead and dive in. I would love for each one of you to take a moment and tell us who you are, tell us a little bit about your business, and then we're going to dive in and have a fun conversation. So Diana, how about you start us off?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Megan, for having me on today. I'm Diana Needham from Business Book Partners, where we help you grow your business with a book. So people come into my world with an idea, even if it's a vague idea, and following the framework that I put together, 8 months later, we have a book created, published, launched, Amazon bestseller designation, and copies in your hand.
Very cool. Awesome. So if anybody's writing a book and you want to self-publish, you know where to go. Jacinda.
Hello, ladies. Megan, thank you so much for having me. And I want to say I completely agree with you. I love the hero's story, the hero's journey, because I think we all do not look like where we came from, And when you start to hear the struggle, it lets you breathe a little bit and say, oh, me too. And if she did it, I can do it too. So thank you so much for sharing that. I feel the exact same. So my name is Jacinda. I've been in media forever. So on radio, on TV, host, motivational speaker, and author. However, along that journey, I realized that there was something else that was really, really important to me, and that was ministry and servanthood. So here we are today. We have a business called Uniquely Qualified. I have two other coaches that work with me and are my business partners, Diana and as well as Melody. And so we have a coaching program where we help faith believers walk out their full-time entrepreneurial journey, say yes to God, say yes to themselves, say yes to their calling. And so when we did it ourselves, we realized like it wasn't us. We needed God. We needed to be able to pray. We needed to be able to fast. We needed him to be able to be the conductor in us walking out our true calling. And so here we are. You are uniquely qualified to walk out your calling, and that's our business.
Awesome. Happy to have you here. And Leah.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for having me here today. I actually, right before I joined Momentum, I saw you have a testimonial with one of the Momentum clients, Tiffany, and I thought, I want to be on a call with Megan in that very same spot. So when you asked me, I'm so honored and so honored to be here with both of you as well. My name is Leah Kazatsky, and I lead spirit-driven entrepreneurs to really step up into their full gifts and expression through their divine feminine leadership. I've been doing this for I think 6 years now, and I used to have a translation and communications agency, and I thought, you know what, I think I want to start helping people step into their voice and step into their message, and so that's what I do in the world.
Very cool. Look how fast you manifested that, because you've only been in Momentum, what, like 3 weeks or 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I just realized it yesterday
That's,
that's what I had like envisioned.
that's
So
so
thank you.
So just so you guys know, so we're on Zoom typing into Facebook, and I can see who's on. We got a lot of people listening and watching. So if you are listening, if you're watching, give these ladies some love. Give them some hearts. I will translate it to them. And if you have any questions for any one of the ladies here, Leah, Diana, or Jacinda, as you hear them talk about their stories or anything that we're chatting about, you know, any of the topics we decide to have a discussion around, pop it into the comment section. I can see, oh, you guys are already getting hearts. I can see your questions here. So if there's anything you want me to relay to them, I'll do that here, because I can see all of the love and everybody here. Oh my God, I'm gonna like wave to everybody over there. I'm like looking at it in my phone. All right, here's what I want to start out with, I think. I want to start out talking about vision and purpose. And I know, Jacinda, this is a big topic that you work on in your business. You know, you guys kind of lead with purpose and vision, and you are helping a lot of people identify what their purpose and vision is. I just got back from a conference where one of the things, the whole conference wasn't about purpose and vision, but it was one of the significant pieces of what we did. And one of the things I noticed in myself and like 600 other people who were at this conference, and I imagine you probably see this too with your clients, when you're an entrepreneur and we're talking about goals and we're talking about focus, we're talking about structure and strategy, lead generation, sales, launches, like all those things, it can be really easy to almost get confused with purpose and vision and our goal. And when I was in the conference this past weekend, we were asked a question like, what's your vision? What's your purpose? What is like an ideal, like what's your ideal world? And almost everybody was writing down more money, in like a certain amount of money, a certain number of clients, a certain size team, you know, all this stuff that had to do with business, business, business. And the guy who was running the conference was like, all this is great, but those are goals. That's not vision and purpose. Like making money, filling a program, getting better at sales, having a great sales conversation, that is not what gets us out of bed in the morning. And I know you have a fabulous story about your life. I've read your book, I'm Uniquely Qualified. So I would love for you to kind of kick off a discussion around vision and purpose and the role that that plays in your life and also in your business.
Yeah, I think that's an amazing question. Daggone, you're coming out the gate.
I am. I got it right here on my page.
I was like, make sure you really listen to our question so you answer it. I'll say, to be honest, as an entrepreneur, you can immediately get caught up in the skills and the task list. And yes, it is a business. So there is a level of conversation you have to have daily about finances and about income generation, about having goals and all that stuff. And it's beautiful. But the thing that gets you out of bed is your why. You know, why in the world did you start it? And that is triggered from something down deep that started years and years ago. And majority of us here, that's our story. That's your trial. That's the mountain you had to climb. That's the thing that nearly killed you. And you have lived to talk about it. Now you're going back to help everyone else who's been going through it. That is the thing. So it's your why. And I tell people every single time they sit in front of us and we're talking about purpose, it's to help people. You are there to help people. Now, what we do as entrepreneurs is we package it and we put it in a beautiful bow and we put a price tag to it for our time and our experience and everything we're going to pour into it. But when it comes down to vision and purpose, it is your why. It is why you're going to help people, why you would do it for free. And you never want to get caught up in the money thing. For many, many years, I gave my services for free because I didn't care about the money. I was more so, I want to help people in this space. Now, as you grow into entrepreneurship, then you can package it in such a way where it makes sense for both people, and you can live and support your family and be full time and make more money than you ever made before. But I believe when you chase the money first, you miss out on the heart, you miss out on the why, and you may burn out. And you may have those days that you don't want to get out of bed. But if you have your purpose leading you first, if you have your why being the thing to pull you up every single day, the money will come, and the money will come in droves like you never experienced it before. So chasing the money is actually the opposite thing that you should be doing. Chase your why, and why and how you overcame it. Share that and give that to every single person, and people will pay you a whole heck of a lot of money for it down the line.
Yeah, I think that it's very easy to get caught up in not trusting that what is actually on our hearts and in our souls is the thing that's actually going to work, that people are actually going to respond to that in a positive way, because it literally is like tattooed on our soul. Yeah. And I mean, I'll speak for myself when I say, like, one of the things that has always kind of held me back a little bit has been like the fear of, well, what if people don't really like who I really am? What if, I can not likable becomes like, oh, I'm totally unlovable, when I like really share who I really am. Sharing who you really are is sharing those inside parts of yourself, which to me, that really is like casting what your vision is and what your calling is and what your purpose is. And I think a lot of people are walking around the earth wondering, are people really going to like that side of me? Are people going to respond to that? And it's so easy for us to look for that external validation as well. Diana, so something that you're doing with people, obviously you're helping people literally craft artwork in the form of a book, and they're laying it all out on the line in a book. And I know they're not always writing about themselves, but they are writing something that's very, very connected to their vision and their purpose. So how do you work with people to really get them honed in on what that book is supposed to be about, that really honors the legacy that they're ultimately building?
Yeah, and I'm right with Jacinda. It starts with why, right? The first question, as I'm working with people, I have a set of questions, because we first have to have a strategy put together for the book. And the very first question is, why are you writing this? Why are you writing this? And a lot of folks will give you what I call a head answer. Yeah. They'll say things like, well, there's not very much information out about this, or what's out there is fairly skimpy, or people are really confused. And if you go to the library, you're not going to find that. Okay, well, I listen to all that and go, I don't say this out loud, but that's a head answer. So then I will, sometimes I have to go at it in different ways. And Jacinda probably knows exactly, she's done this too. It's like, I have to ask it in a certain way for them to actually hear what I'm asking and for them to dig deeper, because that big why is their opening story. That big why is the introduction to the book. That big why is what's going to attract their readers to them, the people that they're here, that they're called to help. So sometimes I have to ask the question and say this way: was there a pivotal moment in your life, or in the life of somebody that you cared about, when this message became so blatantly clear to you that it's bigger than you, and it's something that you need to say, you need to get it out there? And after a very awkward pause, what comes when they really sit with that, and you have to hold the space for people, what comes after that is nothing short of amazing, because they haven't ever really connected the dots. And sometimes I'm the very first person that they're articulating what's in here. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So when we can articulate that, I let them know, that's your opening, some version of that, maybe not the whole, some version of that is what is going to cause people to keep reading your book. That's the story that we lead with, some version of that. Drop us into a scene, exactly what was happening. and they automatically get that. That's the first thing that I ask them. I have to know what's the why behind this.
Yeah.
And so once I know that, then I can help guide them to the who are we writing for? What's the problem we're solving? And at the end of the day, what's the result we want from the book? Because that's all strategy. But it
Right.
always starts with why.
Yes. Yes. Awesome. So Leah, I have a question for you,
Mhm.
and I trust that you're willing to share this. So I know that, so Leah and I have known of each other since probably like 2017. Leah actually reached out to me back then. I did not know who you were back then. And I was on her telesummit. I'm pretty sure it was 2017 because I think it was when I first rebooted this business. And so that's been, almost 4 years ago. I think you had your business for a little while. And one of the things that you shared with me right before you joined Momentum or right after you joined Momentum, you shared with me like, I was like almost ready to like throw the towel in on all this. And I'm just going to be honest, like building a business and being an entrepreneur, it's not the easiest thing on the planet to do. A lot of people think like you've got to be crazy to build a business. And we're talking about this thing, our calling, our purpose, our vision, our big why. And that right there, like every single one of us thinks about quitting our business probably more than one time along the journey for whatever reason. It takes a heck of a lot to make a decision to not throw the towel in and then like totally go for your big dreams in a way that maybe you haven't before. Would you share a little bit about like what inside of you like really called to you to go for it, to keep going for it and not throw the towel in?
Wow. Okay. That's a really great question. So rewind to 2017, I was coaching in person only here. I'm from Montreal, Canada. So we speak French and English here. And I was coaching primarily in French in person. And I was like, I really like this, but I want to reach more people. And so I started to go online, have telesummits, and I started like, building a big business online. And that's when I reached out to you. At the time, I didn't realize that you actually have to, from my experience, have to expand into the success that you're building. So if you can't keep up with it, it kind of like comes back to bite you. And I didn't feel like I was fully able to expand into who it was that I wanted to be online. And so I had to do a lot of inner work. There was just like a whole bunch of stuff that I went through over a couple of years. And I needed to retreat and be like, hey, I need to look at my stuff first before I can get back online and back into like a successful business. It was still successful, but I needed to just simply retreat and do a lot of work on myself. And you know how they say when the student is ready, the teacher appears? Like, I had seen you around. I saw, your growth. One of my coaches, my relationship coach, who's in Momentum, said, "Why don't you learn from Megan?" And I couldn't hear it yet. I wasn't completely ready. And then 6 months later, you popped up again, and I was like, I'm ready now. Like I was ready to hear, I was ready to listen to it. I was ready to tap into my why again, because I needed to just like do the personal work first. So as I was doing the personal work, I was like, maybe I should just throw in the towel. I don't think this is, the path that I should take. And that was a lot of resistance that came up, but I kept tapping into that why that Diana and Jacinda so lovely like share about. And I was like, okay, you know what? I think that I'm ready for Megan's work, and she has the parts that I don't have. So I need to join that program. And it was on the second day or like day 1.5 of your launch. And I'm like, I need to talk to her now. And I just knew that it wasn't time to throw in the towel anymore. People can think I'm crazy. They can think whatever they want, but I was like, it's time. And I have people to lead that need to hear my message. And it's really important.
Yeah, amazing. So this is a really good segue into my other topic, which is the next one that I wrote down on my list of topics that I want to make sure we discuss. And that is the power of building relationships. And I think all three of you are such beautiful examples of people who pay attention and focus on building long-term relationships. And you're not getting bent out of shape if somebody who you met yesterday isn't buying from you today. And Leah, what you just shared, I think is such a good example of that, because we've at least known of each other since 2017. You're joining Momentum in 2020, which is years down the road. We've remained Facebook friends. I'm sure we probably, because I remember sometimes you commented on my posts, I've commented on your posts. I think you just joined my Facebook group, but we've kept in some type of touch. Mm-hmm. And, you know, that's so important for all of us to remember. And if you're listening, I think that it's so easy for us to look at number of likes, number of hearts, number of shares, number of comments, the number of sales I'm making, the number of sales I'm closing. And we're forgetting that there is a much larger percentage of very quiet people who are watching almost every move that you make. They're watching your videos, they're watching your posts, they're reading your stuff. In fact, Sean and I were sitting on our outdoor couch last night. We were chatting. I can't remember what we were chatting about. And I think we were chatting about we're talking about sales. We were talking about communication and tone of voice. And one of the things that he said was, when someone gets on a sales call with you, so if you're the business owner and a potential client gets on a sales call with you, it might be the first time that you as the entrepreneur has actually met that person. But what you have to remember as the entrepreneur is that person knows everything about you. That person has essentially been like dating you for possibly a year or 2 years or 3 years. But we're actually meeting that person sometimes for the first time, but they've developed a relationship with us by consuming our content and through us showing up all the time. So I'd love for us to dive into a discussion about the power of relationships, the way that you all three are building relationships, the importance of relationships, the different kinds of relationships you're building. I think I'm going to toss it over to Diana, because this is something that I like visually see you do and experience from you. I mean, I don't know if Jacinda and Leah have probably been on the receiving end of some of Diana's messages, but I didn't even know Diana was doing this. Diana's been in Momentum now for like 15 months. Diana and I have actually known each other since 2011. And I've actually learned from Diana years ago. We did some work together. I think it was like 2012. We were going around and doing talks together with some other people. So we've known each other for a really long time, but Diana shared with me a couple months ago, every time new people join Momentum, she like greets them. She messages them privately and welcomes them into the Momentum family. Even when we have our events inside of this Facebook group, when we do our like 9-day launches, she's greeting people. Nobody's asking her to do that. She's not being paid to do that. But it just goes to show you the importance of building relationships with people. And Diana, you have shared so many times with us the number of people who hire you to work with you, that they come back around. They might have known you for years or experienced you speak one time, but you're so good at maintaining the relationship regardless of whether that person is not buying from you when you want to make a sale. So I would love for you to dive into the power of relationships and how you, the role that plays in your life and business.
Yeah, Megan, one of the things that you mentioned a lot that and I think we hear this a lot, but sometimes we just don't take it to heart, is that we have to build relationships before we need them. And this is something that I leverage with my author clients, because, it takes a village to launch a book. You have to have an audience and you have to have people to support launching your book. You have to build those relationships early. And so I have just learned, like, over time, the importance of that, the value of that, and the value of that connection. So when I'm on your launch and I'm watching people commenting, and I go check them out, I can send them a private message and say, hey, I'm so glad you're here with us, with the Launching Made Easy frame or whatever it is that you're teaching. The people that come into Momentum, I reach out to them and introduce myself and say, hey, I'm an alumni. Like, I've been here for a while. If you have any questions, let me know. It's just part of building a business. And you always have to, you come from it from a place of service. What is it? Can I answer a question for you? I mean, if I can tell that someone's interested, like if they have, I'm happy to, you just make yourself available to people. And I do that whether I'm on I was watching a panel yesterday. I wasn't on the panel, but I was watching a panel yesterday. I make note of who the speakers are. When they say things that are important, they resonate with me, I will send them a connection request and say, hey, thanks so much for sharing on so-and-so's event yesterday. I loved what you had to say about whatever it was. I mean, it is, yes, it takes more time and it's going the extra mile, but those relationships will come back to you. Yeah, I see that in my business all the time.
They will. And I'm going to share this. I think this is important to note and for people to hear. I actually don't personally know. I mean, I'll see it on social media, but I don't have like a close relationship with anybody who does what you do, Diana. And anytime I see someone talking about writing a book, self-publishing, or if they have questions, I always go into the comments and I just tag Diana. And I'm like, go talk to Diana, or I will introduce people to Diana. The reason why I do, now, who knows if there is somebody better than what she does out in the world. I don't know anybody else that does it personally. Maybe there is, I don't know. But here's why I send people to Diana. I do know that people get results when they work with her, but it actually goes way beyond that. I know that she takes care of people. I know that she knows how to treat people, and she prioritizes not just her paying clients, but anybody who's in her world. And I think that's important to state because everybody can be getting referrals all the time. And you've got to be thinking about the people who could potentially be referring folks to you who are really great prospects for you to work with. And if you're someone who is not really building relationships a priority and really taking care of your people, taking care of your clients, and also taking care of your free community, taking care of your partners, taking care of the people that you're meeting, not that you're a people pleaser doing things for them all the time, but you're checking in on them. You're following up with people. And I think that it's very easy to forget that piece that I watch all my clients. I watch how my clients are presenting themselves online. You can tell if people are good at building and maintaining relationships. And I'll send people your way. And it's not just because you know how to get somebody a result, because I want anybody that you're referring, it's a reflection on your reputation. Right. And I refer people to other businesses and agencies and things, and they've had horrible experiences because of the way they're treated as people there. So I just wanted to share that thinking of relationships in that way is also really important. Jacinda, I'm going to throw the relationship piece over to you, and what I would love for you to share. So Jacinda, have you launched 2 times or 3 times using the Launching Made Easy framework? 2 going into a 3rd.
Yep.
Okay. So the first time you launched, I think you had over 600 people new join your Facebook group, sign up. You guys made your sales into your group program. And this is actually the place in between launches where people are basically losing clients left and right. And it goes back to being so focused on, I have to get the result or else. And what you and your business partners do, I think so well, because I see you guys doing this too, is it's not like you're pissed off and mad at all the people who came, learned, implemented what you taught them in the free information and the launch. You didn't like get mad and like kick them out of your Facebook group or go whine and complain that people don't buy from me, or whine and complain that I don't have buyers in my Facebook group. You guys have been so freaking good at maintaining relationships with those folks, because guess what? Some of those people might need to sit around for a year. Some of those people might need to watch and engage and consume and try things out and maybe go hire other people and find out the grass is not greener on the other side. So will you share a little bit about just you and your business partner's mentality around the relationship building piece in between your launches, and even share some of the things that you guys are doing with your community?
Ma'am, we popped a bottle of champagne when we had our first one client. We were like, yes, we did it. It's happening. No, everything to us is a win. Even when it's bad, it's a win because we're learning from it, you know, and we can be better at explaining what not to do to our future clients, you know? So everything to us is so good. It's uncharted territory and ground we're learning. There, to be honest, there's nothing bad in anything that we do in our business. So in our very first launch, we launched July 4th, and by the end of the month we had our mastery, and we walked away with 5 clients, and we were happy. And I know some ladies have like 30 or 50 or hundreds, and it's like, but that's not us. That's not where we are yet. We will get there. We looked at it as if we got 5. Imagine where we'll be next year. Imagine where we'll be in year 5. This is going to be amazing. And then so funny that you're talking about relationships today in our chat with our clients, they started saying happy 2-year anniversary, uniquely qualified. And all of us coaches are like, it has been 2 years. So when we launched 2 years ago, we were doing women's inspirational faith-based conferences. We were traveling all over the United States. The dream was to fill up arenas, because I work for the Charlotte Hornets, and I always told the Hornets, I'm like, I'm coming back and filling out this arena for Jesus. Like, that's what I'm going to do. So we were traveling all over the US. We went to some international stops. But when COVID came, it shut everything down. So we moved everything online, and we love this platform of coaching because now we're not just inspiring, but we're really pushing women and men into the place where God is calling them. We've always been in this faith-based journey. And so today, when the women were like, happy 2-year anniversary, we're seeing pictures of all of our clients that we never considered we knew 2 years ago. We invited them to our very first launch of our conference. They've been with us in the background, and we didn't know that. That's why one of the ladies booked us before we even got into the mastery, paid in full. A couple of the other ladies didn't even need sales calls. One woman is in her master's program at the same time and says, and I'm going to take you guys too. So to your point, that's all relationship building from years ago that we didn't even realize. We were just looking at them as girlfriends and sisters in Christ. A lot of them are from our Bible studies that we've been doing for 6 years now. We don't get paid money. It's service. Just like Diana said, it's us just loving on people because that's what we've been called to do. And here we are, fast forward to 2020, they're real paid clients. They've been watching you. They see how you move. They see the results that you bring. And they're like, I want to work with them. I want to work with that team. And even my team, we all got together from serving in ministry. That's how we got together. So you're exactly right when you say, you know, everything is relationship based. And even though a person that you talk to today may say no, that doesn't mean it's a no for next year or 5 years from now. So currently where we are is nurturing those relationships, nurturing what was a lead could possibly be a prospect, and saying, hey girl, let's go have coffee, or hey girl, let's go walking, or we're doing a revamp in our Bible study. That's really what we're doing, is inviting women to our Bible study and having prayer time and having our spiritual retreats that will then say, well, what is it that you're trying to do? And then we can see if there's a synergy in pushing them into, you know, a coaching program. But that's not for everyone. But truly, honestly, it comes from service and it comes from nurturing those relationships. And I'm super duper blessed that one of my team members is, like, when I say that is her calling, is relationship building and girlfriends and connecting and networking. That is her lane. So she owns that, like, with grace. And she's always like, oh no, I'll call her. Oh no, I'll go meet with her. And so I'm just like, girl, go ahead. And she always converts it into a client after that.
Yeah. And what I'm hearing you say is, you know, I think, again, it's so easy to get fixated on, like, there's one right way to build relationships. There's one right way to create content. There's one right way to build a community. And there isn't. There is your way. There's your way. And I think that's where it goes back to, who am I? What do I want? What's my vision? What's my purpose? And you guys have been doing this Bible study, you know, the ministry piece, I'm hearing 6 years.
Years.
That's like, okay, in industry lingo, that's like your free content, right? Like we're all doing free content, but what is it? It doesn't have to be what you see everybody else doing because that's what you think you should do. And I think, Jacinda, it was you saying at the beginning of the conversation today, you used the word burnout. And I think that so many coaches experience bouts of burnout, not necessarily because they're working too many hours. And that's what a lot of them equate burnout to. I'm just working too many hours. I actually think it's doing things that you don't really want to do. It's doing things that are actually not quite fully aligned with your vision and your purpose and your calling. But you guys have gotten so in touch with why you're here on the earth. And it's not necessarily going out and like doing free stuff about business every single week or every single day. One of the things you're doing is the faith-based piece and the Bible study groups. And you're being consistent with it and you're frequent with it and you're showing up like in your full purpose that you can maintain that for 6 years. I think so many people can't maintain what they decide to do on a daily basis because it's actually so out of alignment with their calling because they're looking at the dollar signs. Yeah. And like you said, it's like when you're in alignment with the vision and the purpose, that the byproduct is. And when you're building relationships, the byproduct is you're going to have everything else that you want. So I love that. Leah, I'm gonna kind of pivot the conversation a little bit and move over to you. The other thing I really want to talk about is juggling playing multiple roles as women. And everybody here, you all have kids that are like different ages. Diana, I think, do you have grandkids? No grandkids, grandpuppies. Grandpuppies. So you guys all have kids that are all different ages. I think from like pretty young to like well into adulthood, have jobs, have their own houses, have their own families. So mothers, business owners, significant others, daughter, sister. Jacinda, I know you run like other things, like completely separate from your business. Like you run other things. Like it's not like the only thing that women are doing is showing up every day to their laptop to build this amazing business. And Leah, I know you've got 2 small kids. How old are they?
12 and 10.
12 and 10. All right, that's young. Yeah. So you are building this business. You got 2 kids at home. And I just think it's so cool that we as women give ourselves permission to do the things that we're designed to do in addition to motherhood, in addition to running a household. So I would love for you to talk about what it means to you. It's kind of a 2-part question. Like, what really drives you to be the best version of yourself and really go for your dreams so that your kids can be a witness to that? Mm-hmm. So that's one part of the question. And then the other part of the question is, I would love for you to just kind of speak truth into people's lives who may be saying, oh, but I can't do it because I'm a mom and I play that role. And you're doing it. Yeah. So I would just love to hear you like share super honestly about those 2 things, if you would.
Yeah, so I think I'm going to answer it like in the same answer, like those 2 parts of the question. So when I was working in corporate for over a decade, and I already had 2 stepkids that were young, the same age as my kids right now, and then I had 2 kids, right, 2 babies. And when my first baby was born, I thought, I had to go back to work. And in Canada, we can get anywhere from 6 months to a year off work for mat leave, which is phenomenal, except that even when I went back after 6 months, I felt like someone was ripping my heart out and stomping all over it. And I thought, you know what? There must be another way. Like, do I have to buy into this way? Like, I'm not a sheep. I'm I can create my own reality. I mean, like I see it everywhere. What is this like quantum shift? What is this like God sent type message? Like what are all these things? And I'm like, there must be another way. And I kept saying that to myself. And I started seeing myself working from home, So without that job, working from home, and I had this vision, and I remember exactly where I was. I was walking my, so my two little kids, I was holding their hands, walking through the park in this like long flowy dress. It was in June or summertime. And I was walking them through the park to their daycare. And I was like, I don't know if this will ever happen, but there must be another way. And I kept saying that and asking myself the questions, show me how to do it. Show me how to do it. And so, about 6 months goes by, I decide, like, my body was physically burnt out. Like Jacinda was like, there's burnout, that's what happens. And I was, working this job, being a mom, having a part-time business, being a wife. And I just thought, you know what, this is not working for me anymore. Something's got to give. So I just decided from one day to the next, okay, I'm going to pursue my calling. I want to inspire my kids. I want to be there for them. I want to walk them to their daycare. And that was like my big thing at the time. So one day in the morning, we were walking by the school, the park that we actually walked through to get to the daycare. And there were cars like racing by and all these parents dropping off their kids. And one of them stopped me, who was actually a former client of mine, coaching client. And she said, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, why?" She's like, "Do you need a lift? Because aren't you in a rush?" And I said, "No, I'm walking my kids to school." And that was the moment I had that dress on, where I was holding their little hands, walking, like it took us 40 minutes to walk to daycare. And right there, I was like, this is why I'm doing this. It's to inspire them. Today, they were little then, they were under 5 years old. Today, they asked me to go to their pizza day and volunteer. And, the parent committee will call me and say, like, can you just show up now? And if I don't have a client, I'm like, yeah, for sure, I'll be there. And they're watching me as I grow in my business, as I, grow personally and professionally. And just the other day, I just thought this was really funny. My daughter says to me, "So do you think you could one day get a real job so I could visit you at work?" And I was like, perfect. This is exactly what I want. I wanted to know that you can actually work from home, and for it to be successful, and for her to be like, well, what do you do during the day? So I hope that answers your question. But I think, like, just going back to the very beginning, I didn't know how to do it. And I knew that I needed the support. I knew I needed the coaches to get me to where I needed to go. It takes a village, like Diana said, it takes a village to write a book, it takes a village to be an entrepreneur, it takes a village to be a mom, basically. Yeah. So yeah, that's how I was inspired to do all of that. And that's how I create, this life that allows me to inspire my kids and to take on all of these roles.
Yeah, amazing. I love that. Let's wrap it up. The last thing I'd love for just each one of you to share, the power of community and the role that community plays in your life. Obviously, each one of you are building your own communities. So obviously you see there's a lot of power in building community, leading community, inviting people to be part of community where they can really link arms with like-minded people. You're probably in multiple different types of communities, whether it's, momentum to help grow your business, or church communities, or organizations that you're a part of, or networking communities. But I would love to just do a quick round robin and share the role that community, we'll go in this direction as it relates to you building your business and going through the ups and downs of building a business. Talk about the significance of being part of the community versus doing that by yourself, and the role that has played. We'll go back to Jacinda and we'll do a quick round robin, and then we'll close it out here.
Yeah, community is my life. It really is. How many times have you tried to do something on your own and you bump your head, or you quit and never pick it up again, or you really just see the fog of questions? I always say, especially in the book writing, Diana, I had no idea what I was doing. I just know God was calling me to it. And I felt like every time I would see a mountain in front of me, get to the top of it, I'm like, yes, I conquered it. I figured out how to do that cover page or whatever it is, right? but you would look and see a sea of 20 other mountains, and you'd feel discouraged and be like, oh, like now I got to get this barcode and I got to write this page and I got to do, and so that's kind of like our journey in entrepreneurship. You see this big mountain, you finally take the baby steps to get to the top, but there's 20 more mountains waiting for you. And so the beautiful thing is, having a community that you can lean on to say, hey, like, how did you accomplish this? Or, someone that's already taken that path that can kind of pull you up, or say, girl, I got you, or let me show you what not to do, And so for me, I need it in every area of my life. I need it in my faith journey, which is why, originally I thought I was starting Bible studies for other people, but I realize where I am when I go on a simple vacation and miss a Bible study or miss a prayer call, I feel empty. I need it. So I need, that Bible study community. I need my workout community. I need someone to say, hey, we do this every Saturday at this time. So it's not even just my business. It's in every area of my life. I love hosting. I love when people come over. I realize I'm such a community person that everything I do, I want to do it with other people. It's not fun to me if I go and do something and it's so amazing and so wonderful, and I don't have other people to get to feel that same energy as well. So community to me is life. And when someone's feeling down or discouraged or anything, that's typically the first thing I want to do. So just like you do, Megan, like you're referring them to someone or somewhere, I'm constantly trying to plug them in. If it's not what we have, it's someone else, because I know that's the way you can get out of the funk. I know that's the way you can get re-energized. I know that that's the answer to, you really truly being able to walk out your best life, your best self. So you have to get plugged into a community that's right for you.
Love that. I love that. I think the pro tip with what you just said is you don't just have to limit yourself to be part of one community.
Correct.
We can be in multiple communities to serve multiple areas of our lives. I love that.
We always say our tagline is, you're not meant to do life alone. You're not meant to do life alone. And many times, the enemy or whatever will make you feel isolated. And when you start to feel those isolation feelings, that's typically taking you down a dark path, down that where the cloud likes to follow you and you feel like it's just you and you're alone. But truly, like, you're not meant to do life alone. We are a people that love being with our family. We love being with our friends. We love laughing. We love celebrating one another. Like, that's what we were kind of born and created to do, especially as women, as nurturers. And so, like, we are supposed to be with other people and doing life with one another.
Love that. Love that. Leah, I'm going to go over to you. I know you've got a call you have to do at 3:00 for your own launch, so you might have to skedaddle here. So I'd love to hear your take on community and the power it plays and the role it plays in your life.
Yeah, so I'm going to talk about how I tried to do it on my own and it didn't work. So that's just, to me, it's like, trying to send a kid to school alone. Like, I don't see what the point is. So yeah, to me, like, community in all areas of my life are really important. I like hiring coaches and mentors for all the different areas, like I study spirituality and all kinds of different things. And I'm in different Facebook groups, different in-person type stuff. Well, now with, everything that's going on, it's a lot less, but I feel a deep connection. Like, I'm a single mom. So I'm at home alone when the kids are not there. And some people are like, do you ever get lonely? Because you work online and stuff. I'm like, I am always well surrounded, constantly, every single day. There's not one day where I ever feel like I have not connected with my community. So the power of community, as personally and as an entrepreneur, is so extremely important. And I don't understand why anyone would want to do it alone anyway. It's no fun.
Love that. And Diana, I know you've been on your entrepreneurial journey for a decade or more than a decade. You have experienced a lot of community, a lot of mentors. I'd love to hear your take on the power of community and why, even after all these years and being a very seasoned entrepreneur who's had a lot of success, you still are part of communities. Why is that?
Well, one of my colleagues says we can't see our own eyebrows, right? Or you're right, we can't see the label from inside the jar. So the challenge that we all have is that left to ourselves, we can quickly spiral downhill, go sideways. I mean, try different things. So the value of community to me is being in a safe container, like with the ladies here and the ladies in Momentum, where we can come ask anything. We can bring anything. It doesn't necessarily even have to be about business. It can be anything. And we know that we're fully supported and we're heard and we're getting the right guidance. And so inside of my own business, I shifted to working with small cohorts of authors. And one of the things that I've done with my small cohorts of authors is we meet every single week. Because when you're writing a book, you are on this journey. It can be so isolating. I want them to feed off each other. I want them to collaborate. I want them to support each other when it comes launch day. They are beta readers for each other's books. So I bring them together once a week, although most of our work together is private, because it's all part of community. And as the other ladies have said, it's community in every area, not just business. Your fitness world, your spiritual world, it's, your own family. My own family is a community. My kids are grown. I do have 2 grand dogs, no grandchildren, which is okay. But I also have siblings, and I have a mom who's deteriorating health-wise. There's a whole other series of things in my world that you're managing all of it, and you need a community to support you on the journey.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes just knowing that somebody knows what's going on in your life, that somebody else knows, and they can just like send you a message or like pick up a phone or send you a card in the mail. I think that's just so comforting to know we're not doing all of life totally by ourselves. Well, this was so fantastic. Thank you, Jacinda and Leah and Diana, for being like the first ever like group panel discussion here in our community. I think it was loads of fun. I feel like we answered some pretty deep questions here, actually. So if you're listening live or you are catching the replay, give these ladies some love. If you have any questions for them, you can pop it into the comments. You can see each one of their names here on the screen. So if somebody like really resonated with you with what they were sharing and you want to send them a private message and just connect, or friend them on Facebook, or find out more about the work that they do in the world or where you can connect with them, I'm sure all 3 of them would welcome the opportunity to have a chat with you or to invite you into their space. So feel free to connect with them. And thank you so much, ladies.
Thank you for having us.
Hey, thanks.
You're so welcome. Have a fab rest of your day. And thank you everyone who tuned in today. And we will see you inside the Facebook group. Bye.